All right. Well, here we go. Well, welcome everyone. Whether you're joining us live or watching the recording, we're glad you joined us to learn more about expedition cruising with Aurora Expeditions. We are Suzanne and Steve Clausen, owners of CruiseOne in Show Low, Arizona, and we're joined by Bonnie Newman, our special guest from Aurora Expeditions. So I'll introduce Bonnie in a little bit. Did you want to just say hi for now, Bonnie?
You're muted.
I didn't mute. So hi everyone.
Hi, Bonnie. All right. Well, if you're new to my agency, which a lot of you are, I kind of want to give you a little bit of information about me because I want you to feel comfortable booking with me. I'm happy to do a phone consultation with you. Either tomorrow, sometime we can schedule something. We can talk about your plans, your dreams, and I want to make sure that the Aurora Expeditions cruise is a good fit for what you want to do. For me, clients are never a transaction. I always want to make the cruise planning experience very personalized for my clients. And some of the people who I consider my closest friends or clients with whom I've cruised many times and worked with over the years. Just a little quick blurb about working with our agency. I have a lot of training and experience to guide my customers in their decisions. And we are strong partners with Aurora Expeditions. I'm easy to get a hold of, phone, text, email, nearly 24/7, and I work for you. You are my whole reason for my business being around is you, my clients. So I'll give you a little bit of our agenda. So we're going to talk about our itinerary, the ship, and the Aurora Expeditions difference. And Bonnie's going to take us all through what Aurora is. And then at the end of the presentation, we're going to talk to you about our exclusive discounted pricing. So I'm first going to give you a little introduction to what expedition cruising is. Now, traditional cruising features thousands of guests, maybe, luxury cruising is maybe just under 1,000. You have very short stays in port. You have over-the-top entertainment like Broadway shows and acrobats and all that kind of stuff. You have formal or gala evenings where you get all dressed up. And you're basically on like a floating resort style ship. And you only maybe have a few times where you do scenic sailing in remote destinations. With expedition sailing, you're going to have 120 or fewer guests. You're going to be on a modern purpose-built Aurora Expedition ship, and you are going to be completely immersed in the destination, focused on the wildlife, the beauty. And I've got some highlights to kind of show you, but I'll kind of show you about my transition. I've always been kind of a traditional sailor. In 2020, Steve and I did a scenic sailing cruise to Antarctica with Celebrity. And then we took a group again in 2023 and did a scenic sailing cruise to Antarctica with Celebrity. What that means is we sailed around a little bit through the scenery, but there was no chance to get off or do an excursion or go ashore. Those ships carry far too many people than the treaties that govern Antarctica will allow. And many of our guests on that cruise loved the experience. And they said, Suzanne, we want to come back here and go again sometime where we can do an expedition and we can actually land and go ashore. And we have several of those guests that are already booked with us. They were some of the first ones to book with us. It's actually people who've been to Antarctica but couldn't get off and walk around. So our transition, this is Steve and I on a typical cruise. We're all dressed up. But last summer, we had a chance to go to Longyearbyen and visit the polar ice cap with Aurora Expeditions. And we did their Svalbard in-depth itinerary. And we decided to literally take the plunge into Antarctic cruising or Arctic polar cruising. And I always like to say, well, who can enjoy an expedition? So guests should be in general good health. You need to be mobile an average health, but you don't need to be like a marathon runner to participate. There's something, as long as you can get in and out of a Zodiac, there's something for everyone to do, no matter where their fitness level is. We kind of found ourselves towards the end of that Arctic expedition doing the beachcomber, which means we didn't even do elevation changes. We just kind of walked along the beach and enjoyed the scenery from there. And the Zodiac rides, you just need to be able to sit for extended periods of time. So you need to be mobile, but again, not necessarily like an athlete to do an expedition. And now I have a little video to give you a little treat about what a word expedition. Tell you the best part about watching that video is that I recognize many of the people that were featured in that video. They were our some of our expedition leaders on our cruise that we did last summer in the Arctic. So we're going to give you a little introduction. On February of 2026, we are hosting an expedition cruise. It's on this lovely purpose-built Greg Mortimer ship. It's the 13-day across the Antarctic Circle itinerary, and it's round trip from Ushuaia. And I want to tell you why we chose Aurora Expeditions to host our group cruise to Antarctica. We had lots of choices. There are lots of different brands that offer this product, but the destination immersion experience is so much more meaningful. And Bonnie will talk to you about that, because you are maybe getting to land 3 or 4 times a day at different landing sites in Antarctica. The small 120, I think, in Antarctica, you'll have to tell me if I'm right, it goes down to 100 passengers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The exclusive contracted savings, Bonnie and worked with us to give us a really, really super duper group rate for all of our guests. They have a wonderful track record of environmental stewardship. And then we sat down and we thought, what was the best cruise we've ever done? And it's hands down was our Arctic expedition that we did last summer with Aurora Expeditions. It was just, it was so different than anything we've done. And I was like, yeah, it was, we were being pushed every day to go out, 2 or 3 times a day and see these different landing sites, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Those memories and those experiences were some of the most meaningful I've ever had. And I'll show a little bit of that. I know it's kind of off topic, but it'll give you an idea of what the experience is like. So now I'm introduced Bonnie, and here she is, and she's going to talk about Aurora Expeditions.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. So thanks, everyone, for joining the webinar this evening. Like Suzanne said, we have a really strong relationship with Suzanne and Steve, and I was delighted to have them on board in the Arctic, and super excited to have been chosen to host their Antarctic expedition. So, a couple of things come to mind, like, are you ready for an expedition? And let's take it away. So we have been around for 33 years. We started by a gentleman named Greg Mortimer. We are an Australian company, so we're lots of fun. Greg Mortimer and his wife Margaret started taking their friends down to Antarctica back in 1991, and that's how Aurora Expeditions was founded. He's a legendary adventurer in Australia. He was the first to climb Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen, and he's still leading some of our expeditions. So we're all about adventure, discovery, and exploration. Late last year, we were awarded the Certified B Corporation designation, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but it is something, it's like a global community, and you'll start seeing a lot more companies becoming certified B Corp, but it really reflects our dedication to our high standards of transparency, accountability, and sustainability across all of our business practices. And we are the only expedition company to have achieved this certification. So we're really happy about that. We're all about learning and enrichment. And so we do have citizen science programs on board, and these are the programs that we're currently involved in. And our guests can take advantage and learn and participate in collecting the data and sending it back to these organizations. Down on the bottom, sorry, Suzanne, we did have some cleanups that we did. So we did a cleanup Iceland last year, cleanup Svalbard, and it's just our way of giving back to the communities that we visit. And here's a couple people doing the microplastics. And what we include in all of our expeditions is the Zodiac cruises. So the Zodiac is the raft. So we call those Zodiacs. So we have the cruises, all the walks and the hikes. And as Suzanne mentioned, we break you into different groups. So it depends on what you feel like doing that day. If you don't want to do a long hike, you can do a short hike, or you can just stay along the shore. We call those beachcombers. And it's really up to you how you want your day to go. We have a professional photographer on board all of our trips, and they're there to help you take the best pictures. And they also take pictures for the slideshow. They put all the photographs that they take on a shared computer, so you can download them if you want. So, it's for your benefit as well. We have all of our lectures, the polar plunge, the bird watching, lots of birds in many of these destinations. We visit historical sites, and then, of course, you can participate in citizen science. And if you're feeling very adventurous, you can add on some of these optional activities. So we do offer camping, kayaking, scuba diving, snorkeling, snowshoeing, skiing, paddling. So depending on what sailing you're on, we will offer different activities for you to add on if you want. We provide all the gear, so you don't have to be an expert kayaker or snorkeler. We do give briefings, and we provide all the equipment that you need. And that's a picture of me on the right. I got to kayak the last time I was in Antarctica. It was really, really fun. And those were the snowshoers that were on our trip.
It will probably not be me.
And these were the snorkelers. And if you are planning on signing up with a group and you want to participate in one of these activities, I would sign up at the same time because they sell out every time. And of course, our expert guides, many of them have been with us over 10, 15, some over 20 and 25 years. They keep coming back to work with Aurora because of what Aurora stands for. And depending on where we are in the world, we will staff it with the right ologists, so glaciologists, ornithologists, geologists. So depending on where we are in the world, we will have the pertinent team there. Our expedition teams on board have over 100 years of combined experiences. You know, I just mentioned all the ologists, but a growing segment of our expedition team are women. So it's really awesome to see. So we currently have 2 ships. One is the Greg Mortimer, named after our founder, and that's the ship that the group departure is on. And then we have another ship named the Sylvia Earle, named after Dr. Sylvia Earle, the world-renowned marine biologist and oceanographer. And you can see, oh, can you just go back?
Let me go back.
I was just going to point out the front of the ships, how they have the weird nose. It's called an X-bow, and there's only 7 of these ships in the world right now. But when we helped design this technology, we studied dolphins on how they glide through the waves. And so that's how they came up with this, this kind of upside down hull. And it's a lot smoother and a lot more fuel efficient than a traditional ship. And in Antarctica, Antarctica doesn't belong to any one country, but there's a lot of different countries that make up the body that governs all the rules in Antarctica, and it's called IATO. There's a lot of rules and regulations, but 2 of the rules pertain specifically to the size of the ship. So the first rule is any ship that has more than 500 passengers cannot make landings or stops in Antarctica. And that's what Suzanne was just alluding to earlier. The second rule is that there's only 100 people that can be ashore from a vessel at any one time. So our average size is 100 passengers, but even if we were to have 120, 40 people are kayaking and snorkeling, so they come out of that number. So we're able to land everybody at the same time. You don't have to rotate on and off the ship, which actually cuts into the amount of time that you're able to spend ashore. So the ship that the group is on is the Greg Mortimer, as I said. It came out in October of 2019. It did 1 season in Antarctica and then sat in the water for 2 years during COVID. So the ship is still new, and the carpet still smells new when you come on board as well. This is what a standard stateroom looks like. The beds can be separated to make 2 singles or the 1 king bed there. Full step out balconies. We have heated bathroom floors, really, really comfortable space. This is great, aside from stepping out onto a warm floor, but if your gloves are wet or your socks, you can easily dry them on the floor there. And this is a lecture theater. So this is where we do our briefings. Usually before dinner, sometimes they're during the day. If you're sailing down, through the Drake Passage, we'll do lots of lectures here those days too. And that's the library.
And I have to say the library is stocked with a wonderful array of picture books with all kinds of information about expeditions that have gone to the Arctic. And it's fascinating reading. You can pick something up and just browse through it. Really amazing.
Yes. And this is our gym. So we've got a large gym. We also have saunas, and we're bringing back the spa treatments too. So
Hey.
yeah, so we're super excited about that. The ship has a mud room, which is great because you can leave your life jacket here, your muck boots, and those are the muck boots there. And that's typically what we use when we go ashore. And it's nice that you can just leave them here in the locker. And these are the Zodiacs. So we've got 17 Zodiacs on board. We use 15 of them. 2 of them are spares. And for anybody that wants to kayak, we do typically load the kayaks. We have an inflatable dock on the back of the ship. Sometimes we pull you out by Zodiac, and then you go from the Zodiac onto the kayaks, but typically we load up through this dock on the back. We're lots of fun. Excuse me. Sorry.
Is that the barbecue? I think that's the barbecue, which is one night they do a special barbecue out on the deck, and they you get to socialize with others. Now we don't have the funny hats. I think you'll see the funny hats in my picture. Is your throat cleared, Bonnie?
Yes. And you can see how casual we are. So, everybody just has so much fun. And because we're so small, everyone becomes a big family. So it makes us different than other companies out there. I know there's a lot of noise in the expedition space. A lot of those are cruise lines trying to get into expeditions. But we're a true expedition company. We leave a positive impact wherever we go. We're 100% climate neutral. Our ships are small, purpose-built. We're all about education and enrichment. And because we're small, we allow for more time off the ship. And we also have the world's leading activity program. And this is a picture of the different areas of Antarctica. So you can see down at the bottom, the Antarctic Peninsula, and you can see the Antarctic Circle. So this particular group that Suzanne and Steve have picked out, it goes past the Antarctic Circle. So you can see the big ice shelves and icebergs and things like that.
Get to check that off your bucket list.
Yes. And what you can expect to see in Antarctica, lots of penguins, so adelies, gentoos, chinstraps, lots of seals, birds, and lots of whales. And especially in February when this group is taking place, the whales are really active. It's going to be amazing.
I like seeing a whale in your zodiac.
Oh my gosh, I am dying to go in February because they're everywhere. So here's some Gentoo penguins. They've got the yellow beaks or the orange beaks and the orange feet. Little baby fur seals.
They're so cute.
And of course the kayaking. So it gives you just a different perspective. And this is how we typically do a landing. So the Zodiac will pull right up. Our expedition team goes out in advance and scouts the area. If there's any steps they have to build, they'll build that into the snow. But this is typically how we go and do a landing. The Zodiac will pull up and then our team helps everybody out. And then you're ashore. And you can see in that picture.
Oops, here, I'll go back.
Oh,
sorry. I know.
No, look at all the penguins.
All the penguins, I know.
How close you are to the penguins.
Yeah, and they're not afraid of you. They just look at you and keep going. I mean,
yeah, they walk right next to you. You do have to get out of the way because they build these penguin highways. So they have the right of way.
Oh, that's funny.
So included extras. So the first, as soon as you get into Ushuaia, we do pick you up at the airport. We take you to a hotel. So the first night is going to be in the hotel and you'll get your luggage tags. They'll do a briefing and tell you what to expect the following day. Then the following day, you'll do a half-a-day sightseeing tour on the way to the ship. And then on board, all the shore excursions, beer, wine, soft drinks with dinner, Starlink, Wi-Fi is complimentary. It works amazing. Everybody gets their 3-in-1 waterproof expedition jacket that they get to keep. Complimentary use of those muck boots I showed you when we looked at the mudroom picture. A lot of companies charge a rental fee for those, but we provide those complimentary. I mentioned the professional photographer, and then all the port charges and permits and landing fees, all of that is included. And Suzanne will talk more about this special group sailing, but we do have specific category cabins in the group already that we're holding. And I just checked the pricing today because we just opened this up for general reservations. And right now a category C is almost $16,000. So these rates that we were able to lock in are amazing.
Awesome. Okay. And this is kind of a day-to-day. Do we want to go through
Yes.
that, Bonnie?
Yeah, so day one, as I mentioned, you'll arrive in Ushuaia. We transfer you to the hotel and you'll overnight there. Day 2 is going to be the day you get on the ship. Days 3 and 4, you'll be at sea. It's like a day and a half, and you'll pass through the Drake Passage. That's the day where we will do some briefings. We do your biosecurity check. So we vacuum out all of your clothing to make sure we're not transporting any like little bugs with us from one
Or
place to
seeds,
the
yeah.
other, or seeds. So we do all that. And then days 5 through 10, you're going to be in Antarctica. And then you come back days 11 and 12, and then you disembark back in Ushuaia.
That's a full 5 days. On my scenic sailing, we only had
6.
like 6 days, you're right. But we only had 2 scenic sailing days in Antarctica. So this is a much, and we couldn't get off the ship. So
Just
want to go
through
through
this,
this
yeah.
in detail? We'll just kind of quickly go through this. Just gives
Yeah.
you an idea. We can send this to you if you're interested in more detail.
Yeah.
But this is just kind of a detailed day by day that we have.
Yeah. And
And then
when we say days 5 through 10 in the Antarctic Peninsula, there's not whenever we talk about an expedition, there's never a set itinerary, because everything is weather dependent. So if it's bad weather when we're trying to get to, Port LaCroix, we just find another place to go. So that's why it just says days 5 through 10 exploring the Antarctic Peninsula.
I'll keep going.
Yep.
Yep, disembark in Ushuaia. There we go. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of the highlights from our Arctic expedition, just to kind of give you an idea of what our personal experience is. And we're gonna go back to the pricing and the room categories a little bit later. But we were on the sister ship, the Sylvia Earle, and some people said, well, where is Svalbard? So Svalbard is northeast of Greenland. And just some of the pictures, these are my own pictures from that cruise. We had both sunny days cruising around the icebergs. We had foggy days, and both were equally as charming. We did days where we went on zodiac rides by these spectacular bird cliffs and saw all kinds of different, and these are my own personal pictures, all kinds of Arctic birds. So those would be penguins in our case, seals and walruses. We saw blue whales and beluga whales when we were in the Arctic. So I'm excited about going to the Antarctic because the whales are going to be a lot more active when we're sailing around in February. And the nice thing about it is when we saw the blue whale from the ship was able to position itself in a way that we could stay and observe that whale, just basically stop where we in our tracks and observe that whale for a while. And that's the thing I really love about Aurora is we were on a big ship. We would have just been sailing right on by and wouldn't have been able to see that blue whale for 10 or 15 minutes. So really amazing. And then I went a little nuts and I took the plunge when we were in the Arctic. There's my polar plunge picture. I don't know what I was thinking, but after they pulled me out of the water, and if you watch the video, I swear it seemed like I was in that cold water for 10 minutes. It was like 5 seconds in the water. It's very funny. But they pulled us out. We dried off. We had our wonderful party by the polar ice cap. They have this wonderful barbecue. But the other thing I like about Aurora is that the food and service is a premium deluxe level. I mean, it is right on par with most of the cruise lines we cruise. A lot of the servers have worked for the large cruise lines and they've gone to Aurora because they like having that more personalized service experience. And look at this food. This is in the main dining room, these beautiful creative presentations. I mean, the chefs on Aurora, they really know what they're doing. And next I have a picture, our little video of some people getting in and out of Zodiac. So I want people to be able to see that they give you a hand, you step on the side and you step on the bench and then you sit down. And it's pretty stable. I mean, it's, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know about that Zodiac. They're very stable. That's why they're used for these types of expeditions. And there's our wonderful expedition team. I'm hoping that some of these folks are going to be on our Antarctic expedition. They were just wonderful
Request for
in
Howard.
telling us. Yeah, we want Howard, but Ari, she was just so wonderful, and she's from Ushuaia, so she could be on our cruise. Just our summary of our experience. We love the destination immersion. We were amazed by the scenery and wildlife. And you saw those pictures of me. I'm the one that's usually cruising in the sequin gown. So for me, this was really stepping outside my comfort zone, and yet I look back, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. So I can't wait to go back and do this in Antarctica as well. Just that's why we decided to go with Aurora for this group. So here's our journey. It's going to be February 21st through March 5th. It's on the Greg Mortimer. And then we kind of already been through this itinerary really quickly. We don't need to go through it again.
It's worth noting though that most expeditions in Antarctica do not cross the Antarctic Circle.
That's
This is
right.
one of just a limited number that go across, and that's one of the reasons why we did pick it. We really wanted to be unique and actually say we did go across the Antarctic Circle.
Yeah, and I think that it's only offered on the late season because the ice is going to be too thick to do it in the early season. So that's why, you know, it's in the late season. But again, beautiful ship. And now I have the for you to see the types of cabins that they have. So these are the
Just go back for 1 second,
cabins.
Suzanne.
Oh,
Worth
yeah,
noticing
sure. Yeah.
that these ships are Polar Class 6 icebreakers, so they can go through feet of new ice. So we're in pretty good hands there.
Yeah. Okay, so the rooms are very nice. These are the porthole rooms. This is going to be your entry level rooms on this ship. You can do a twin share where you share with a fellow expeditioner and then they also have triples that are for like if you and two of your friends are going to share a room, or maybe you and your husband and your son are going to share a room. Those work well for that. But this is the category C, B, and A. They're all very similar in design. They all have the step out balconies, and you know, they're just beautifully decorated with this lovely decor. They really, even the decor immerses you. This is a little bit bigger. It's a superior balcony, and it does face out. I think the one in this picture might be the accessible one, because I'm looking at the big door and the clearance there. I think that might be the accessible one. So there is an accessible cabin. Of course, the Zodiacs would not be accessible to someone who would not be able to step down like that. But for someone who just wanted to spend those 5 days immersed in the scenery, even if you can't get off the ship, it's certainly more immersive than what you would have on a big commercial ship. Here's a junior suite. You can see the floor plan. It's divided. It's got 2 different areas of living, and then the captain's suite, again, a 2-room suite. And here's basically the deck plan. You know, it's very compact. It's almost like a river ship. If you've ever been on a river cruise, the size, the layout, the amenities are very similar to a river ship. And again, here is our pricing and what categories we're holding. So we've already sold a couple of the category C's and 1 category B, but we are holding this number out of inventory. So only people booking into our group can book these. And again, Bonnie mentioned the price differential. We have a huge savings because we negotiated our rates based on the 2025 rates. You also have $100 per cabin onboard credit. It's not a whole lot you can spend it on because basically everything's included. If they are bringing back spa treatments, that would be something for your onboard spending. And then alcohol outside of your dinner time would be at an extra charge, but they're all very reasonably priced. And you know, this isn't a party cruise. They might have a couple drinks after dinner, but it's you know, that's not the point. So we wanted to mention everything that's included. So your transfer, so they'll pick you up at the airport, take you to the hotel. You have that 1-night hotel in Ushuaia. Again, all your accommodations, a daily cabin service. So you have a room steward, just like you would have on a big ship, that's going to clean your room and make up your bed, turn down your bed, all that stuff. Beer, house wine, and soft drinks with dinner. They do have a couple of receptions where they have like complimentary champagne. All your shore excursions and Zodiac cruises are included. The educational lectures, this is kind of repeating what Bonnie said, but the one thing I like is the complimentary use of the muck boots. That's super important because other cruise lines charge you a rental fee for them. So here's what would be, you want me to go back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one other thing that's not, you kind of missed the starting, but one other thing that is also included is on day 2 in the morning, there'll be an excursion in Ushuaia. You'll take a cruise and go out to Beagle Channel and see some, I think it's sea lions.
sea lions, yes,
and
sea lions,
stuff like that.
and
So there's an
cormorants.
excursion on the beginning of day 2 before you board the boat in the afternoon.
Yes. Okay, so what would be your additional cost? And these are all things because you're working with a travel professional like me that I'm going to be able to help you with. So you're going to have your air to Ushuaia. So your flights from Buenos Aires are very inexpensive. It's pretty easy to get to Ushuaia. There's 3 or 4 commercial flights a day. Your gratuities are going to be at $15 per person per day. That goes to all of your service staff on the ship. And then there's activities like Bonnie mentioned that are the additional add-ons. And if you're interested in doing those, we suggest you book them right when you book them because they do sell out. So I want to talk about the logistics of getting to Ushuaia. I did some research because a lot of people had asked this. How do we get to Ushuaia? So there are flights from the US to Buenos Aires. And this is the way I would recommend. Go to Buenos Aires, spend a night or 2. Argentina is a wonderful place. There, you could go out and see an estancia. You could go see a tango show. I mean, there's some things that you could really enjoy in Buenos Aires. So you can fly. This is based on current pricing, but I just tried to give you an estimate. From JFK, it's about 9 hours. From Dallas, about 1,100. From Miami to Buenos Aires, about 1,050. Phoenix with a connection in Dallas, 930. So that's economy. You can also, we can also look at pricing you premium economy, which tends to be about double, and then even business class, which I have access to some consolidators that might have a really good price on business class. You can get a 4-star hotel in Buenos Aires, like the Hilton, for around 200 a night. So it's not expensive to stay right in the heart of Buenos Aires. And then if you want to stay at, by the airport and just like a brand name hotel, could easily be under 200 a night. And we have the prices for the flights. There's 2 airports. There's a domestic airport and the international airport. So depending on how you're making your connection, you could fly from either one. And it's a 3-hour and 40-minute flight. If you wanted to come down and spend an extra night in Ushuaia, it's a beautiful place. There's some wonderful touristy things that you can do there. About $230 a night for a hotel in Ushuaia. And then you can fly from a couple of US cities very reasonably with a direct connect from. So from JFK there, and it's on Aerolíneas Argentina. So that's the only way that you can kind of get it without doing multiple airlines and the price going way up. But again, then you could do that with maybe an extra night or 2 in Ushuaia. So now we're open for booking. First did this presentation about 6 weeks ago. We were waiting for to be open for booking, but we are open. We're taking bookings. We've already got several cabins booked already.
5 cabins.
So yeah, so what I need to do is get your full guest profile information. It is a $2,500 non-refundable deposit per person. People ask me, why is it non-refundable? Aurora Expeditions is a small company. They can't afford people to book many and then take one. They need to make sure their ships are filled with people who are committed to going on them. It is a non-refundable deposit, but if depending on the circumstances, Aurora is going to make every effort to be able to transfer that deposit to another expedition that they offer. You don't have to make final payment till 90 days before sailing. So unlike another competitor that requires full year payment, it's 90 days before you sail. Now, this is the other thing, is that they require that you get a $250,000 emergency evacuation coverage. So I priced that out. You can buy that as a standalone policy. You don't have to buy it as the comprehensive cancellation plan. I can sell you a cancellation plan, but ours only has $100,000 in emergency evacuation. So it doesn't quite meet the needs. But for $75 to $300, depending on what policy you're looking at and maybe the age of the person purchasing it, it's a very minor add-on to be able to do this. And they just want to make sure that if there is an emergency and you have to be emergency evacuated from Antarctica, that you've got insurance to cover it. And then in March of 25, I can look at all that air and hotel arrangements when we're at like 330 days. It might even be April because it's going to go. So at 330 days, I can look at adding all those add-ons and we can work on your logistics.
Yeah.
So, So we'd love to have you join us. Here's the dates again. It's February 21st through March 5th. The beautiful Greg Mortimer ship. There's our pricing. I mean, it's super competitive. You will not see the pricing like this anywhere but through our agency. I just thank Bonnie so much for allowing us to negotiate such a great deal exclusively for our clients. So really, really thrilled with that. And I have another little video. Now this is for 23 and 24, but you know, Antarctica hasn't changed that much. So.
So that's why Aurora Expeditions has always treated those who come on the voyage as individuals. They're not group travel voyages. These are voyages of like-minded people travelling together and exploring in their own individual way.
Come explore with us. We'd love to have you join us.
And you really will get scenery and views like you see in my background pictures. You'll be in the Zodiac up close and personal with wildlife, scenery, icebergs, just fantastic.
Okay. Well, do we want to stop the screen share for a minute and do questions? We'll just do questions with the screen share going. So if anybody has any questions, you can just press down your space bar or unmute yourself. And then I see that there's a couple questions maybe in the chat. So
they're answered already. That's good. You're good.
Okay, good. Okay.
Hey, Suzanne,
I have a
this is Terry.
question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Rose.
You can go, Rose.
I was curious what the difference is between category A and category B in the hotel,
It's
in the boat room, the
location
ship.
on the ship. So let me go back to that deck plan that I showed really quickly. I'll go back.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
So A is going to be this gray. It's on deck 4. Okay. And category B is going to be the turquoise. So they're a little more forward. This one still has a step out balcony, but you can see because it's curved, it's going to be a little bit smaller. These are full size. And then, so it's really the location on the ship. That's the difference between the A and the B and the C.
Okay. Okay. Now, is there a difference, since this is so much smaller than a large cruise ship, is there a difference in location for smoothness going through the Drake Passage or anything like that?
If you're really concerned, I would say the same thing we say on large ships is to book something a little more midship. But
Right.
Just go.
There. Do you want me to go back to the deck plan, Steve? I'm sorry. I go a little click happy.
Yeah, and also, deck 4 would probably be the smoothest as well because you're lower.
Yeah, we were on deck 4 when we were in the Arctic, and it's funny because when you're in places like this, these little coves and bays, you can see that it's perfectly calm. It's only going to be when you're kind of out in the open ocean that you're going to have that swell.
Right.
So you have a little bit of everything when you do an Antarctic cruise.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, who else had a question?
Harry had a question.
Yeah, so Suzanne, I had a question. So booking single, would I pay 25 or 5,000 to reserve?
For the deposit. So are you going to book?
Yeah.
So would you book the cabin for yourself?
Yes.
As a solo cabin?
Yes.
With the 150% single supplement?
If that's what you give, yes. So
Yeah.
So Joey wants to go, but I haven't talked with him yet.
Okay.
So the prices, I think it's in his price range, but if he doesn't go, I definitely want to go. And I wanted to just ask you about that.
Yeah. So Bonnie, can you remember?
Yeah. So, what we can do, Terry, is, we could book it as like for 2 people and you would put the 2,500 down. And then if your companion doesn't go, then we just convert that to a single, and if there's an additional deposit that we require, we'll let you know.
Okay, so
All
she
right,
would
so-
only have to put 2,500 as long as just her name is on that. And then when we add her brother Joey, we would add the other 2,500.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
or you could do it the other way around, just put a TBD. So whichever way you want to do it.
I will be a young 78.
Okay. Well, thank you, Suzanne. Call me later.
I will. Okay. Any other questions that you have?
I have another one.
Okay.
Age. Is there an age, we really don't like people over, 120 or under the age of 70, is there anything like that?
Well,
Bonnie?
the minimum age on our ships are 8, but we typically don't see young children because we don't have a children's program. Our typical demographic is going to be 45 to 70. And then, there's people in their 70s and 80s. I had a client just come back. He said there are people, in their 90s on board because it depends on, fitness level, if you can get in and out of a Zodiac and things like that. But typically, and because this group is in February, when school's in session, I don't think you have to worry about, younger kids.
Yeah, but there's really no upper age limit, just that you need to be able to
had-
kind of be in generally good health.
Yes.
We had
Okay.
multiple in the 80s in the Arctic.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah. Yeah, we had
Ah.
quite a few.
All
Yeah, and
right.
one of my fellow travel agents, she was on an expedition. She posted a picture of herself in the Zodiac, and she says the woman next to me in the Zodiac is 92. So she's like, yeah. So it depends on how, you do have to be able to make those steps, stand on one foot, but you don't need to be an Olympic athlete to do this.
Might skip the 6-mile hike once you land. but-
Yeah. And pace yourself. If there's 4 landings a day, maybe you do 1 or 2. That's the other thing, is pace yourself. And I have to tell you, when we were in the Arctic, there was a couple times when the announcement came out, hey, because they do wake you up in the morning because they don't want you to miss out. At like 7:30 a.m. Good morning, everyone. It's time to get up. There's a couple mornings
After
I just
breakfast,
turned
Zodiac's in
over,
the water in 45 minutes.
Nope. turned over, put my head back on the pillow. So, and sometimes what we did, we would come back to the ship, we would have lunch, we'd go back to the room and just lay down until they called the next landings thing. So, no matter what age you are, you need to pace yourself to an appropriate level. And you see so many amazing things at every destination, that every landing, that if you miss 1 or 2, you're probably not missing out,
Yeah, take a look at the ship and there with the questions. There's nothing wrong with being on ship for that morning and just standing there and looking at that view all morning long too. I love it.
Yeah. We
do
did
have
that a
an-
couple
We
times.
do have an elevator on board. We have a full medical facility there. We've got the observation deck up on 8. Actually, that's right there. Yeah, where
Right in the
everyone.
front.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the bridge, you guys have an open bridge too, and that's here, correct?
Yes, that's the bridge.
Right
And then we've
below.
got 2 jacuzzis in the back on the Greg Mortimer.
Very nice. And you have the sauna.
Yes.
So lots of, yeah, and you have the extra restaurant on the Greg Mortimer is down on this level. It's not up here on the top level, correct? There's
Right.
like a
So
little
it's like in
specialty
the,
restaurant.
yeah, so it's off of the main dining room, and it's where the expedition team would dine at breakfast. We call it the cage because it's got that sort of divider, but
Uh-huh.
that is where they're kind of sectioning off to make it an Italian themed restaurant.
It's Italian. We like Italian. All the food was so good, though. And the nice thing is that they have international chefs, and Bonnie requested some crazy Indian
The Indian.
pancake or something, and they made
Yeah.
it custom for her. They really do a great job of accommodating special diets and special requests. So very, very good times.
Any other questions? Yep. So Terry, after later on this evening, I'll send out a kind of a thank you for it, and there'll be a link to the recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel.
Is she still here? Okay, good.
She asked a question in the chat.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here, and we can continue to talk a little bit if you'd like.